Forget no contact. This will break him faster. Let's talk about one of the most overused, misunderstood strategies in modern dating: no contact. You probably heard it 1,000 times. Just disappear, cut him off, he'll come crawling back. But here's the truth. If you're doing no contact just to manipulate someone into wanting you, you've already lost your power. See, the point isn't to go quiet so he misses you. The point is to become someone he can't ignore. And that doesn't happen in silence. That happens in evolution. You don't break him by going missing. You break him by leveling up. You break him by becoming so focused on your growth, your joy, your goals, that his absence stops being a wound and starts being irrelevant. That's the moment it shifts. He doesn't get haunted by your silence. He gets haunted by the realization that he no longer affects your peace. So forget no contact as a tactic to get him back. Instead, become unforgettable, because you moved on with grace, with power, and with the kind of self-worth that doesn't wait around for breadcrumbs. And trust me, that is what really messes with someone. When people talk about no contact, they often frame it as the ultimate power move. They say, just disappear, don't text back, and he'll come running. It sounds simple, right? But the problem is, many people use this approach not from a place of strength, but from a place of fear, hurt, and hope that silence will create a reaction. What most don't realize is that if you're using no contact as a tool to manipulate someone's emotions, then you've already surrendered your emotional control to them. Think about it. If you're counting the days you haven't spoken to him, checking if he's watched your story, or hoping he reaches out first, then your silence isn't empowered, it's anxious. It's not confidence, it's a performance. You've just turned your worth into a waiting game, hinging your sense of value on whether someone notices your absence. That's not real power. That's just quiet desperation with a filter. True emotional power doesn't need tricks. It doesn't operate in the shadows, hoping someone will suddenly wake up and realize what they lost. Instead, it operates in clarity, in truth, and in a firm sense of self. No contact should be a byproduct of your growth, not a strategy to manipulate someone into valuing you. When you genuinely stop engaging with someone, it should be because you've decided that your energy is too valuable to keep investing in a situation that isn't serving you, not because you're secretly hoping he'll feel the void and chase you. Here's the hard truth. If someone truly cared, they wouldn't need your silence to realize your worth. And if they only come back because you disappeared, then what are they really responding to? Is it love or is it ego? Are they drawn back by connection or by control? That's why using no contact as a manipulation tool is a trap. It may give you a short-term hit of validation, but it doesn't create lasting value. It keeps you emotionally tethered to someone whose attention you're still chasing, even if you're doing it in silence. Power is not in pretending you don't care. Power is in actually not needing the game anymore. When you stop texting, not to provoke a reaction, but because you've genuinely redirected your energy to your own healing, your goals, your growth, that's when you're operating from strength. That's when you're no longer performing distance, you're just living your truth. And ironically, that's often when people start to feel your absence most, because they can sense that you're not just pulling away, you've moved on, you've let go. And that's what really shakes someone up. Many people spend so much time and energy focused on how to make someone else react that they forget where their true power lies in their own evolution. When someone pulls away or breaks your heart, the natural impulse is to respond. Maybe it's through begging, pleading, over-explaining, or going completely silent with the hope that absence will sting enough to bring them back. But all of that is still centered around them. You're still orbiting their behavior, their choices, their validation. The shift happens when you stop making them the center of your universe and start placing that focus back on yourself. Evolution is not about pretending to be fine or faking confidence. It's about honestly confronting your pain, working through it, and becoming someone stronger and wiser on the other side. It's about using what hurt you as fuel to build a life you actually love, regardless of whether they're in it or not. When you evolve, you're not playing emotional chess. You're not sitting there wondering what move will checkmate their ego. Instead, you're asking yourself, what version of me do I want to wake up to tomorrow? It's a quieter question, but it's the one that actually leads to real transformation. You start focusing on your goals again. You dive back into the gym, your work, your friendships, not to post it on social media and show how unbothered you are, but because you remember that your life is rich and full when you actually live it for you. And here's the irony. When you do that, when you stop reacting and start evolving, you become magnetic. Not because you're trying to, but because real growth is powerful. It's attractive. It's rare. People can feel it when you've genuinely shifted your energy. It's in the way you carry yourself, in the peace you radiate, and in the boundaries you now enforce, not as punishments, but as expressions of self-respect. Letting go of reaction doesn't mean you become cold or detached. It means you stop giving your time and emotions to situations that no longer deserve them. You stop overanalyzing every message, every silence, every like or unfollow. You realize that none of those things determine your worth. What determines your worth is what you build with your time, your thoughts, and your love. Are you building a stronger version of yourself, or are you building mental temples to someone who's no longer showing up for you? The beauty of this approach is that it doesn't just break him or make him wonder what happened. It actually rebuilds you. And when you focus on your own evolution, your story no longer hinges on whether he comes back. It becomes about what you've become. That's the win. That's the freedom. Because evolution isn't just how you respond to a breakup. It's how you choose to rewrite the narrative from this moment forward. One of the most painful traps people fall into after a breakup or rejection is getting stuck in a waiting mindset. It's that emotional limbo where you're technically moving on, but still secretly checking your phone, scanning social media, and hoping, just hoping, that they'll reach out, apologize, or realize what they lost. You say you're done, but deep down, you're still waiting for something outside of you to change how you feel inside. And that waiting steals your power more than anything else. The real shift happens when you stop waiting and start evolving. Because waiting keeps you tethered to the past. It keeps you stuck in cycles of overthinking and hoping, constantly evaluating your worth based on whether someone chooses you again. That mindset is passive, and it puts your happiness in someone else's hands. But evolving, that's an active choice. It's when you stop asking, when will they come back? And start asking, what can I do with this pain? Who can I become from this experience? That shift is everything. When you choose to evolve instead of wait, you reclaim control of your story. You're no longer just a character hoping someone re-enters the scene. You become the author, flipping the page, creating new chapters. You start to recenter your energy on your own healing, your own wins, your own goals. And more than that, you begin to build a version of your life that doesn't include them as the main plot line. Waiting often feels safe because it's familiar. It keeps you connected to hope, even if that hope is hurting you. But hope alone doesn't heal you. Action does. Evolution requires you to be honest with yourself about what's no longer serving you. It pushes you to confront uncomfortable truths, like the fact that maybe the person you're waiting on wasn't really showing up for you, or that you were clinging more to the potential of the relationship than the reality of it. That honesty is painful, but it's also liberating. Because when you evolve, you grow beyond the need for external validation. You no longer live for the moment they text you or like your photo. Your self-esteem isn't built on whether they miss you. It's built on how you show up for yourself. It's in the discipline to not reach out. It's in choosing therapy or journaling or working out, not to glow up for revenge, but to feel like yourself again, and eventually to feel even better than before. When you stop waiting and start evolving, you begin to experience a different kind of peace. Not the kind that comes from them giving you closure or clarity, but the kind you give to yourself. And in that peace, you find power. Because nothing is more powerful than someone who's no longer stuck in pause mode, but actively writing the next beautiful part of their life, even if that chapter has nothing to do with the person they once waited for. Becoming unforgettable has nothing to do with making someone jealous, proving a point, or showing them what they lost through calculated moves. It has everything to do with who you become after the pain, when you focus on leveling up, not for them, not to win them back, but for you. You begin to carry a kind of energy that's impossible to ignore. It's not about the loudness of your presence. It's about the quiet strength that starts to speak for you, even when you say nothing. A lot of people try to make themselves memorable by staying in someone's orbit. They keep reaching out just to check in, or posting stories designed to provoke a reaction. But that's not unforgettable. That's predictable. It's not strength. It's strategy. The most unforgettable people are the ones who walk away without bitterness and who go on to build something incredible with their lives. That's what really lingers in someone's mind. That's what haunts them long after the texts stop. Leveling up isn't a performance. It's a decision. It's a choice to stop basing your worth on someone's inconsistent attention and start building a life that feels full with or without them. That might mean diving deep into your career, starting a passion project, improving your health, expanding your circle, or just becoming more emotionally intelligent and self-aware. It's not about the surface changes, though those can help. It's about the inner transformation, the way you begin to see yourself differently. When you start making moves that have nothing to do with them, they start to feel your absence in a deeper way. Because it's not just that you're gone, it's that you're growing. And you're doing it without needing their permission, their presence, or their validation. You begin to glow differently. Not out of revenge, but out of rebirth. And people feel that. That's what stays with them. It's also what allows you to reclaim your self-respect. So many people try to be unforgettable by clinging to someone's memory, hoping to maintain some emotional hold. But the irony is, the tighter you hold on, the easier you are to forget. When you stop chasing, when you stop needing them to see your value, when you shift your focus entirely onto your evolution, that's when your energy shifts. You become light, unbothered, clear. That's what makes someone stop in their tracks, because they realize they don't recognize this new version of you anymore, and they're not sure if they can reach you again. Being unforgettable isn't about being dramatic. It's about becoming someone who no longer settles for emotional crumbs. Someone who raises their standards, not as a threat, but as a natural consequence of growth. Someone who stops waiting for closure and instead creates it for themselves through action, maturity, and grace. The moment you stop living to be remembered is the moment you start living in a way no one can forget. Real power isn't in ignoring someone, cutting them off, or trying to prove a point. Real power shows up when you reach the place where they no longer have control over how you feel. When your mood is no longer tied to their texts. When their silence doesn't send you spiraling. When their attention or lack of it no longer shakes your sense of worth. That's when the true shift happens. That's the moment everything changes, not for them, but for you. There's a difference between pretending not to care and genuinely feeling unaffected. So many people confuse silence with strength. They think if they don't respond, if they don't reach out, if they act detached, then they're showing power. But if inside you're still obsessed, still checking their feed, still hoping they'll say something, then you're not free. You're just silent and suffering. Power doesn't come from silence. It comes from emotional detachment. And detachment isn't coldness, it's clarity. It's when you've done the internal work to heal, to understand, and to move on. Not because you're trying to teach someone a lesson, but because you've finally learned yours. That you deserve peace, that you deserve consistency, that you deserve the kind of love that doesn't leave you guessing. When someone used to have the power to hurt you, to confuse you, to keep you up at night, and suddenly they don't. It shakes them. They may not show it, but they feel it. Because they can sense that their words, their games, their presence no longer have weight. And it's not because you're angry. It's because you're indifferent. That's what breaks people far more than rage or revenge ever could. But getting to that place doesn't happen overnight. It takes work, it takes time, it takes choosing yourself over and over, even when it hurts, even when the temptation to reach out is strong. It takes sitting with the discomfort of missing someone and still choosing not to go back to a situation that made you question your worth. That kind of discipline builds resilience, and resilience builds freedom. The most powerful thing you can do is stop needing closure from the person who broke you. The second you stop giving them that power, the power to define how you feel, the power to interrupt your peace, you start taking your life back piece by piece. You stop being the person who reacts and you start being the person who decides what to accept, what to tolerate, what to walk away from. People don't expect you to stop caring. They expect you to linger, to stay emotionally available, even after they've withdrawn. So when you detach, not as a strategy, but as a lifestyle, it confuses them. Because suddenly, the person who once gave them so much access no longer needs them, no longer chases them, no longer waits. And that's when they realize they lost not just your attention, but your heart. And there's no performance, no message, no post that can recreate that kind of access once it's truly gone. Take care, and until next time, stay strong and stay true to yourself. Goodbye.